So this is a little tutorial video of me learning how to fly a DJI Mini 2 drone, but the controls are basically the same for all drones, so if you're interested in learning some basic moves for your drone, you can learn along with me. As a beginner, the best thing to do is come to a big wide open space where you won't risk crashing and there's not going to be too many people around to bother you, and it's always a good idea to start with cinematic mode on your controller because this is the slowest movements. So once you've taken off, just do nothing and it will just hover in the air. So that's the first place to start, is just do nothing.
Now let's look at the controls, starting with the right joystick. So this moves the drone along a plane. We can go forwards, backwards, right, and left. Now I should say you don't really have to push the stick all the way. You can be very gentle and just nudge it. Some of the best drone shots come from very slow and steady movements in a single direction. The left joystick moves up and down in height, so we can go up and down. The left joystick is also used to rotate the drone, so this goes clockwise and anti-clockwise. Keep in mind that once you've rotated the drone, forwards is no longer forwards from your perspective, but from the drone's perspective. And left is no longer left from your perspective, but from the drone's perspective. The other control we have is this gimbal wheel here, which controls the camera whether it's looking forwards or down. So we pull it down to turn the camera down. It can go all the way down to 90 degrees. And push it up to bring the camera back up again.
So when you're making a drone video, there are three basic things to consider: movement, height, and gimbal, as in the gimbal rotation. So movement can be no movement, slow movement, or fast movement, and it gives a big difference which you do. The simplest kind of drone shot is just no movement at all, just setting the camera like a tripod in the sky and watching the action that's happening. Slow movement tends to be very peaceful, and fast movement is very dramatic. Now remember, you can always change the speed in editing later, and you could also reverse the video. With heights, there is a big difference between a low down shot and a high up shot. And you could also use movement together with height to change your altitude to give quite a nice revealing shot. You can change the feel of a shot completely by altering the gimbal. So directly down is a great bird's eye view, and looking forwards is a good point of view shot. Depending how high you are in the sky, think about the horizon and whether you want that in your shot or not.
Some of the best shots come from when you combine the three considerations together in interesting ways. Here I've started quite high with the gimbal pointing down and I'm rotating. Then I also start pushing up at the same time to reveal more of the surroundings. In this shot, I'm pushing forwards and upwards at the same time, and then I'm slowly pulling the gimbal down as I fly over the trees. In this one, I'm combining flying right with rotating left to create an orbit around the trees. Once you've got the right speed, just hold it and let the drone do the rest. So I think that is everything you need to know for the basics of the controls to fly your drone. All you have to do now is really experiment, play with it, try out different combinations of different movements and height and gimbal, and see what works for you to get the best dramatic shots. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something.